Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are. I hope you're having a good one. Uh, I've had some weird stuff happen to me over the past 48 hours, past couple weeks. Uh, so, like on Facebook, um, at least two or three accounts have been made with variations of my name, obviously trying to fake my account. Again, if you read the description of my channel, you can see why these people are doing this kind of stuff. It's you know, there's nothing really I can do about it just yet. Um, Today I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on something that um, I've done quite a bit of in my life over the past 14, 15, 16, 17 years. Again, you can look at my YouTube channel. I've been um, making videos, experimenting with different methods of editing for, well, since 2006, 2007. Um, yeah. So today I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit of my past photography. Sometimes I show new stuff, but there's a reason I don't show a lot of new stuff. And that's because in the past, whenever I've worked with uh, anyone, models, um, places I go to shoot photos, still images. People either go there after and take photos, um, or they contact or try to find and contact models I've worked with. Uh, there's a small photography studio. It's changed its name in Tacoma, Washington, where most of the stuff happened. And so I show my new stuff. But I'm not going to be showing it today. I'm going to be showing you examples of stuff I've done over the past 14 years, specifically past 14 years. Currently, I have roughly 8 or 9 prints for sale at a local little frame shop slash art um, gallery place locally. Um, I've got stuff for sale on Adobe Stock, and so today I'm going to be focusing on uh, photography work I've done in the past. I might play guitar a little bit later. Um, so yeah, that's so today you're going to be seeing stuff I've done over the past 14 years. You're not going to be seeing anything new again because I've had people straight up just go to my photos and then try to contact the models and women I've worked with in the past, and I've had to really like keep my uh, photography, my editing, and well, try to keep my editing because I do use Adobe. Unfortunately, I'm forced to use Adobe Creative Cloud, which means they have access to um, the way I edit photos, the way I edit portraits specifically, and there, it's I've had to keep a lot of the stuff, my new stuff, to myself, and I'm gonna keep doing that. Um, just because of what my experience in the past with other people who photograph um, the way they are. You know, um, I think it's highly inappropriate to contact a model, a photographer somebody's worked with, and try to get them to work with you. It's highly unprofessional. It shows the desperation of these other photographers. They're just not able to get the clients. And so yeah, I'm gonna be that's what I'm gonna be doing today. I've got some coffee going right now. Um, well, I got some boiling water for my coffee going right now. I'm gonna grab some creamer, and then I'm gonna be right back. And we'll just get into the studio shooting and some of the other photography work I've done. Um, again, over the past 14 plus years. Uh, Part of what brought this on is last night I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast that was had the one of the landing deniers on, and the guy obviously, like, I don't care if he calls himself a photographer, I don't care if he calls himself a videographer, he didn't know the basics of art. All right, you can look at any of the moon landing photos, and you can tell that they are actual photos by the shadows, and the lighting in them is all correct. If you were to draw one of these moon landing photos, it would look exactly the same when it comes to the shadows, when it comes to the vanishing points, when it comes to the lighting source. It would look exactly the same as any of those photos. And if you changed the lighting source, or if you added 2 or 3 other lighting sources, again, it would look exactly the same as these. The shadows would be correct, and it has nothing to do with photography. What I'm talking about, it has to do with art. It has to do with knowing where the horizon line is, where the vanishing points are, where the lighting source is, or sources are. And the Joe Rogan Experience, they've had a lot of really good guests on, and they've had a lot of horrible guests on. And really, what Joe Rogan reminds me of is a radio show that used to be on air back in the late 80s, 90s, and early double O's. And I think he was even going up until like 2014, 2015. A guy named Art Bell, and a show called Coast to Coast AM. And Art Bell was the Joe Rogan of his day. His show was the Joe Rogan Experience before the Joe Rogan Experience was the Joe Rogan Experience. It was called Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell, and later on they continued, or tried to continue, the show with another host, just horrible host, named George Norrie. But anyways, Art Bell, what his show was, is what the Joe Rogan Experience is now. Joe Rogan is a ripoff of what Art Bell was, except Art Bell did it better. And Art Bell was a way better devil's advocate. He was a way better host. And what happened to Art Bell is disgusting. And his legacy will outlive the Joe Rogan Experience. It will outlive most of the stuff that you hear and see. A lot of people don't know what Coast to Coast AM. If you were a trucker in the late 80s, in the 90s, and the double O's, you know exactly who Art Bell is. You know what Coast to Coast AM is. And what the Joe Rogan Experience is now is what Coast to Coast AM was for like 20, 30 years. And it's really weird to see people acting like, was weird to see people acting like the Joe Rogan Experience is something new. It's not. It's been done before, and it was done way better. Anyways, so I'm going to get to getting this boiling water into my French press, and then I'm going to get some creamer, and I'll be right back. So, a little bit off subject here. I've been having to go out to the next city over to go do laundry. There's no laundromat located in the city. I don't even know if you can call it a city if it doesn't have a laundromat. But I've been having to go quite a distance to do laundry. And the thing is like almost a year ago, the washer and dryer here went out, and they didn't go out at the same time. It was first the washer, and I've troubleshooted. I found out exactly what was wrong with the washer, and I know exactly what's wrong with the dryer. The dryer I can fix. It just needs a replacement motor. Super easy. I could take it apart, put it back together, and get the new motor in there. No problem. The washer, it needs new transmission, and that's something I can't do. And the cost of it, just it doesn't make any sense to repair that, and then you might as well just get a new one. And it's like people don't believe me when I talk about stuff. Like it's fucking weird, and that's fine. You know, you want to pay somebody else to do something that I'm offering to do for free. That's cool. That's cool. You want to pay somebody $200 or $300 to replace a $80 part? That's cool. Go for it. But when people like don't believe me about stuff, it's like, all right, fine, don't believe me. It's like when people don't believe me about asbestos. Hey, guess what? Move to Libby, fucking Montana, and live there. All right, do it. All right, because I fucking hate that shit when people don't believe me about stuff. You don't believe me about Libby, Montana? Move there. Guess what? Guess what's going to happen to you? I can tell you exactly what's going to happen to you. A little thing called mesothelioma. But anyways, don't believe me. Um, and that's something that has over the past couple years, I've become more and more mechanically inclined. I replaced the entire cooling system in my car. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure the block is cracked at this point. Um, but the thing is like the radiator, the tank, the reservoir tank. It's a BMW 328 Ci. The pump, the thermostat, the intercooling pipes, the all of this, the sensors for the temperature. I replaced them all, and it starts up and it runs and it goes okay until some air gets into the cooling system. And that's the thing about the BMW series. The cooling system, if air gets in there, it overheats really quick. Um, and with the block being cracked, I mean, I've done so much work to it, and that's really the only conclusion that I can come to is that the block is cracked. There's something that um, is severely wrong with it, but it runs, gets me point A to point B, and within a limited range. Um, but yeah, like when somebody doesn't believe me about something, it's like, great, that's fucking awesome. Go live in Libby, Montana. See what fucking happens. Um, don't boil your drinking water. You know, see what happens. Uh, so like it's really frustrating to me when it's like I've got the part number. I know the place to order it from. This is how much the part costs. It'll take me like half hour to change it out. Oh, I'm gonna have somebody else look at it. It's like, okay, fuck. People are some people. What can I say? Some people. Anyways, we're gonna get back to the photography stuff. Um, I've got my creamer. My coffee's all ready. So I'm calling it right now. The transmission on the washer is out, and the motor and the dryer's out. Motor in the dryer, I can replace. The transmission, you'd be better off getting a new one, a whole new washer rather than replacing the motor in a 30-year-old washer, you know. But that's who cares? What do I know, you know? That's part of the reason I'm going to be so happy when the experience I've been living through over the past 14 years is over as far as my living situation goes. I'm going to be so fucking free. So fucking free. And can't wait. Get out there and experience shit again, you know? But anyways, so the first photo set that we're going to look through, I think it's, there's at least like a couple hundred photos. I think it's 2000 from 2011. I took them in a studio I was working at. And the it was the first photography studio I ever worked at, and one of the perks of working at it was I would get I had 24-hour, 7 days a week access to the photography studio, which means I had access to the backdrops, I had access to the lighting equipment. The only thing that was really mine that I took in there was my camera, and every once in a while I would leave it in there, which if you're a photographer, don't ever leave your camera anywhere that anybody else could have access to it. Just don't do it. So yeah, the first set we're gonna look at is from that studio, and really the photos are just really basic white backdrop. Part of what I was doing was practicing my blowout technique. So if you have a white backdrop and you don't have any lights going to it, but you have lights on your subject, the backdrop's not going to be blown out. You have to set up a light to blow out the backdrop. You have to set up a hair light, and then you set up your other lights. And in these photos, I think I'll be able to show you exactly what multiple lighting sources looks like. Again, the photos that they were showing of the moon landing on the Joe Rogan Experience look like a single lighting source to me. And again, it's ridiculous for I don't even know the guy's name. For him to be saying the moon landing was fake, like the footage, the still photos, they all look real to me. The only ones that I've seen that were faked, they pronounced were fake. They were like, yeah, we're setting up for shooting promo photos. So it's yeah, I'm just gonna get into it. Here we go. And I'm also going to be showing some of my just out and about photos. So this photo right here, this is I think it's at Wrights Park in Tacoma. Took that way back in the day. Anyways, here we go. So this is a example of a set. There's quite a few of them. So I use a couple different backdrops. I think that one might be the one that shows the the best. So this is just an example of the photo shoots that I've done. Like one of them, this is from, I think it was 2011. This is way back in the day. And, there's nothing raunchy or anything about them, but in studio, um, these are what it's called SOC, straight out of camera, which means there's no editing or anything. And let's see if I can find one that demonstrates the what the dumbass on the Joe Rogan Experience was trying to say about multiple lighting sources. And or how easy it is to disprove what he was saying, like about multiple lighting sources being used. Yeah, we'll just go with this one right here. Double. Oh. Here. And we'll add the source. It's 295. So this is image 295 of a fuckload. And here you can see the example. I had two Alien B 800s shooting straight onto the subject. I had one hair light, and then I had another light for blowing out the backdrop. So you can see a shadow being cast from a light that is over the right hand in front of her, right here. And you can see the hair light photo, or the hair light shadow being cast over here. So when the guy is talking about multiple lighting sources, he doesn't know what he's talking about. All right. First off, nobody calls them an electric lighting source. They're called strobes. They're called studio strobes, photography strobes. It's not the same as like an SB flash that you would mount to your camera. But this is what it would look like if the guy actually knew what he was talking about. You would see a shadow with a darker shadow. You wouldn't see one shadow. And so yeah, this is just an example, a quick, easy example of one of the thousands of like hundreds. I've taken probably hundreds. I want to say around it's between 280,000 and 300,000 photos. And yeah. So like a portrait / bust photo. Let's go ahead and go. I could just open these in Photoshop and not have to add a new source every time, but we'll just go ahead and add a new source every time, right? So where are... So you can get pretty detailed with these. This is probably one I didn't use because it doesn't look like the eyes are as in focus as they should be. The nose is in focus, but the eye is not in as focus. So, like, this would be a photo I wouldn't use. And usually when I do shoots like this, I just let the model do whatever she wants. If there's a particular angle or something, I might be like, turn 180 degrees this way, or I might say something like that. But most of the time, it's you just let them do whatever they're doing. If you got an idea for a pose or something, yeah, that's directing them is not exactly something that I personally like doing. So let's take a look at a photo that I think I did use this one. Yeah, for some reason on the Joe Rogan Experience, I only start commenting when I see something so idiotic. So the eye is a lot more in focus. It's got a weird angle to her, but ba-da-dum. So that's an example of one of my photos. Like, these are, when I say my photos, I mean I control the copyright to them. I 100% have copyright to that. All these photos you're looking at, I have exclusive copyright to all of them. So yeah, this is like a in studio shoot, fun stuff. Getting my lighting down, and normally what I would do in like photos like these, what I would do is like I would just go boom boom. So if I were editing these, if I were getting ready for these to be put out on the internet, I would open it up like that. And of course, you can see the purple backdrop up here at the top. I would just, personally, this is what I would do just for something quick, just to get it up and out the door. I'd go boop. Boom, boom. There, that's down, that's down. So you see how there's a little bit of you can see where the light's hitting. The backdrop right here. This is what I want for the whole thing. So what I would do is just real simple. Go over to image, adjustment, levels, hit the light and or white marker on it, and boom. There you go. There are a couple different ways you could do that. You can use the shadow. So we'll go edit and do levels, edit, image, adjustment levels, and we'll hit the white on the shadow. Boom. And then, as you can see, the image and or the white paper backdrop I was using had a couple holes in it. So what I would do is go over here, just oop, oop, boom, 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 and bam. That's ready to be put out. Could, of course, make a couple more little tweaks to it, but that's a quick edit. That somebody comes in, you want them to have a good photo and be able to put it out within 5 minutes of taking the photo. That's what you do. Quick edit. As you can see, there's quite a bit of detail in these. So if this was getting published in a magazine, of course I would go over it a shit ton more. Or if I was putting on an Adobe stock to sell, I would go over it a bunch more, remove any of the frizzy hair, any of the, go over and straighten out all those so you wouldn't have any hair like that. Definitely hide the hair thing that she's using to hold her hair up. But yeah, that's a quick edit. Quick 5 minutes. I'm not even going to save that, it's not even worth saving. So, yeah, let's go over, this was, yeah, these are 2011. I had a friend who does to this day, makeup, and I was using what's called an Omni light, which is just a strobe, or one strobe, not two strobes, just one strobe, no hair light, and we ended up with taking a fuckload of photos. Yeah, there are 3 different subjects here, and if I remember correctly, I also did some sort of party shooting that night too. So let's just go ahead and open this up. 2011, not a lot of people were doing Dave the Dead makeup. It wasn't like a huge thing, at least not locally, not in my state, and not. I wasn't seeing there. There aren't a whole lot of photos of Dave the Dead stuff from 2011. I'll put it like that. That's a fun one right there. We'll go ahead and open that one up with Photoshop. So as you can see the lattice back here, but I was using a Omni light on a black backdrop. Got a little bit of expression going, and eyes are hella dark. Sick dreads going. So yeah, this is Omni light. To edit this, I think I did do an edit of it, but it was a little bit different. You got to go through, do the fine. What takes time is creating textures and getting the texture right to get rid of the fine hairs. So yeah, that's just one photo of literally hundreds of photos from this particular shoot. Out of studio, but with a studio strobe. Again, Alien B800 Pulsey Buff. That's the lighting, the strobe lights I like to use. I prefer to use. So as you can see, this was just backyard shoot. You can see the lattice, but the subject is on the back. The backdrop is there. The subject's there, and that's the main focus, to get that subject on the backdrop. Because the rest of this is a quick, easy, like this stuff over here. It's super easy to just cover up with the same color and texture of the backdrop in Photoshop. All right. And we'll go over here. So these are photos from around the area. this place has really blown up. Shit, I was on Twitter the other day and somebody was posting photos from it, from this specific location, like it was something new. The location, I've been going up there since I was probably like 6 or 7, maybe younger. Um, the first time I ever saw a logging rodeo was up in this area. So let's go ahead. I'll just go ahead and go with Photoshop. So these are actually from sets that, like, I literally took hundreds of photos at this location, but these are photos that I'm getting ready to use for editing. So, like in this photo right here, um, what I'm going to use it for, and what I have used it for, is placing like a haunted mansion up here on this hill somewhere, and kind of gives you an idea. But what I'll do is go over here. So again, this is there was a snowstorm here in 2012, and that's what all these photos are from. I went for a couple mile walk around the area, and I was taking photos and just kind of checking things out with the snow, and actually got a couple uh, pretty good captures, like this one. I put my logo on it. So it was cold enough to where the harbor here snowed up, and somebody had taken a canoe or a paddle boat out onto the water from the harbor, and it made this weird pattern in the snow, or in the ice slash sludge snow stuff, and I just liked it. I was like, oh, I'll take a photo of that real quick. Really contrasty uh, with the snow and the it being just gray out, snow conditions. Um, so again, like on this shoot, I just went out and looks like I took about 66. Yeah, I took 66 photos. I just thought it was really, I'm not in Alaska. I'm not in an area where it really snows heavy often. So when I was going out and photographing, I was like, oh, like seeing these sailboats and boats covered in snow was kind of unusual for the area, and that's a really dark image of them. But yeah, it's so, and these are more okay. So these are more I don't know if I would call them experimental, but they're what I would do, uh, what I have done and do sometimes, uh, like this mask. These are called SOC. They're straight out of camera. There's no editing done to them. But like an image like this, I made this mask, and there is a granite, kind of like sign place out near. I think it's Chase Bank. So their signage has a granite thing, and the light with the signage at night, I thought it looked cool. Took a photo of it. That one's not exactly on as well as in focus as I would like it to be, so I probably didn't use that one. That one doesn't look so unfocused either. But uh, there's granite and water and that blue light. The mask is like a gold color. So this one, I really like the bokeh that were there. It's all right. It's all right, bokeh. So like, but taking an object like that, going out and finding unique lighting, um, at night is probably one of my favorite things to do. I really like light art. Um, let's see. So these are all from the same night. Um, looks like I took about 100 photos. I had 2 or 3 masks with me, and I was just finding unique lighting conditions to take these photos. And this one, the bokeh, is I ended up really liking the bokeh on these photos. Pretty sure, yeah, I was using a 50 mil lens on these. And where I took the photos, there was a steel grating. So this gray part is actually the grating, but because I was using a really low f, I think it was f 1.8. It looks like it's sliced. Like it's a really nice slice to it. That's why you get the bokeh. That's why the pattern of the grating kind of all melts together into this bokeh. And yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do with photography is shooting with models and subjects is it's awesome. It's fun, but there's it's not the same level of creativity. To me, it's not the same level of creativity as taking something, a object, and going out, finding lighting, and or setting up a scene with a inanimate object that tells a story. And uh, it, people, other people, they'll do photographs of some woman who looks gorgeous, and it's easy to do that. It's super easy to do that. To take a photo of a woman who is attractive is super easy. To take a photo of a inanimate object and tell a story through just where you place the object, where textures and lighting and the inanimate object slash subject tell a story is hard to do. It's it's one of the ways that I judge other photographers. If a photographer goes out and takes a photo of a subject, great. If a photographer like William Klein goes out and takes photos and video of a subject that especially when it comes to still images, when they take a still photo of a subject, like William Klein, and it tells a story and or expresses a time and place, like William Klein's famous photo of Muhammad Ali and the Beatles. A photograph like that's the judge of a good photographer. Anybody can go out and take a photo of a beautiful woman, yada yada yada. Big fucking deal. Everybody does it. Bunny Yeager did it. Everybody in photography can do that. It's super fucking easy. It's life on easy mode is what that is. It's life on easy mode when a photographer does that. What's hard is taking a inanimate object when you're and telling a story through just the lighting, through just the ambiance of wherever you're at. You can see it in William Klein's fashion photography. You can see it in Diane Arbus's photos when she would go out and do portraits, either at people's homes or even on the streets. They express a story, and it's not some photograph of some beautiful woman fucking sitting on a beach. That shit's easy to do. It's easy to. It was easy to take a photo of Marilyn Monroe. Easy, easy to photograph. Easy. What's hard is taking a subject like Diane Arbus did with freaks or people that we would call abnormal as far as aesthetics go, and capturing them in a way that not only makes them makes the photo interesting and invokes thought, but tells a story. And yeah, Diane Arbus, fucking fantastic at doing that. R.I.P. Amazing photographer. But that's how I judge photographers. Like anybody can go out and shoot a fucking photo of a woman and beautiful woman. Woohoo! All right, that shit's been done and it's going to be done throughout fucking history. What's hard is telling a story using an inanimate object, lighting, actual camera work, i.e., using the proper f stop or a f stop, using bokeh, using natural lighting, yada yada yada. That's how I judge a photographer. So, like a print magazine like Playboy or like Suicide Girls, I don't consider the people who do that kind of photography, really photographers. I mean, yeah, Bunny Yeager, great photographer, but Diane Arbus, fucking way better photographer. Not just photographer, but an artist. And that's the difference. There are people who, it's like Cartier-Bresson, he was an artist, not just a photographer. Anybody can go out and be just a photographer. But to be an artist and a photographer is the goal. Is what my goal is. It's what I want to see. But, you know, people who do Playboy magazine, yeah, woohoo. You you took a woman that was already beautiful and used your camera knowledge to capture that beauty. Woohoo. Way to go. It's not art. It's not fucking art. And if you think it's art, you have a very, very wide, wide definition of art. A definition of art that makes anything anybody captures on a photo art. I personally have a very tight definition of art, especially when it comes to photography and videography. It's a much tighter, much more defined definition. So, excuse me. I'll go back over here. So again, taking a mask, going out and finding lighting situations and places that I think tell a story and or have a certain aesthetic look to it, have a certain feel. The photos right here that I'm looking at, these were taken from the Narrows Bridge. And to me, it feels very Disney. Like the sunset would be something you would see in like an early like the same colors that early Disney films would use. Let's go here. That's no. This is okay. So these were go with this one. Just pop that open real quick. So this photo is of the railways in Tacoma, Washington. And from where I took the photo from was a rooftop. And what I was trying to do with this image was just completely get rid of that horizon line, so you couldn't see the horizon line. You can kind of see a little bit of it, I guess, up at the very top. So like the horizon line in this photo would be like way the fuck up here. But there's no, the point of it was to get rid of the horizon line and kind of just make it feel enclosed, even though it's out in the open. Yeah, the horizon line's probably like, I want to say the horizon line's like up here. Oh. It's almost out of the image. It's in the very top of the image. But and that's the way it feels to me. It feels enclosed because you can't see the horizon line, but you can see very much that you're in an open space, you know. You know, again, like I was saying, like it's super easy to go out and take a photo of a beautiful woman, but to mess with to actually have the imagery invoke feelings that are primal or less more base, you know. Is another mark of a great photographer. This photo, I was just out shooting one day, just walking around, back in 2012, and I came across this in an alleyway, and I just snapped it real quick, and there are a lot of things going on in this photo, but it's got a lot of uses to it, and it's, to me, it's a large statement of what was happening at the time in 2012 when it comes to photography and videography. It, you know, 2012 like was one of the years that really marks digital photography and digital videography. You know, Netflix started out by sending out DVDs. They didn't start off with a website that had digital videos you could watch right there on demand. And so this photo, it reminds me of like there was a time when people had VHS tapes, you know, and the fact that the shopping cart was in an alleyway with all these VHS tapes in it. I don't know what was on the VHS tapes, but yeah, it just you know, people discarding VHS and video just because it's not in a digital format kind of to me makes a big statement about photography, videography, and art in general. How a medium like VHS can be discarded so easily, and what what the change at the time was happening in 2012. I know digital photography had been around a little bit longer than 2012, but like for example, my first digital camera was like a Sony DSH dash 2 or something like that, and the sensor size on it wasn't anywhere near a DSLR. DSLRs, they've only been around since fucking after 2000, so like 20, 24 years. Not very long when it comes to photography. It's only been around like, you go back to Felice Bito and the Crimean War. That's some of the earliest photography that there is on the planet. And what year was the Crimean War? Like 18 fucking 40, 1830, somewhere in there. So digital photography is still it's still a new medium, and in 2012 it was really still a new medium. Um, yeah. So yeah, these are just um, some of my. This is light art. So this is just extending the exposure time and having a black room, darkening out my room, and using a light to spell out and write with. The thing that's hard about this is that you have to write backwards and in the air, so you can't see what you're writing, and it has to be backwards. You're writing backwards, and you can't see what you're writing. That's why I'm kind of surprised any of these photos came out the way they did, because not only am I writing backwards, I can't see what I'm writing, and I'm in the dark, and it's again, I'm having to write it backwards. So any of these came out at all, kind of it's a win for me. It's like, all right, I can do this. And I actually at one point got good enough at it, and I still can, to where I can do it in cursive. Um, but to be able to write backwards in cursive with light that you can't see in the dark is not an easy thing to do, and it's super fun to actually, like when I was able to actually get good enough to where I could, it was legible. Like, it's one thing to do it in print, like just regular writing, but to do it in cursive, it's a whole nother thing. Um, and at some point I'll go ahead and show those photos. But not only are you writing backwards, but you can't see what you're writing. You have to do it all by feel. Like you have to be able to picture the writing in your brain and how it's going to end up looking when you frame up the shot. And yeah, light art is one of my favorite things that I've come across when it comes to art and photography. Again, anybody can take a photo of a beautiful woman. Woohoo! Everybody does it. Everybody can do it. Um, the real arts in photography aren't taking a picture of a beautiful one. The real arts in photography are what I've explained and said. Uh, Light, lighting, atmosphere, subject, um, light art itself. Being able to write backwards in cursive is so hard to do. Um, but yeah, so that's just a quick tour. Again, you've seen probably less than 100 photos of mine today, and I've got around 300,000 total photos on several. I have it triple backed up, so I have offline two separate uh, SSD drives One's a 500 gig, and the thing's filled up all the way. The other one's I want to say a terabyte, but it's almost filled up all the way. And yeah, around 300,000 photos. They're all taken with one camera, which I'm gonna grab real quick. Um, Hold on a second. So all these photos have been taken. I think I got this in 2010, 2011. So back in the day, it was one of the nicer entry level DSLRs. But I've thrown a 50 millimeter f1.8 Nikon lens on there, and this is what I use for my still images and portraits. And I love it. I love it. It's so my photos all have the same camera data on them. They all have the same. They all come from the same camera, easily identifiable. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna take a quick break here, um, and turn on some beats real quick, and I think I'm gonna play guitar for a bit. Right. um, so again, you've seen probably, I don't know, 100, less than 100 of my photos, and I have around 300,000. I have a couple up for sale on Adobe Stock. I have prints for sale at a local little place, little frame / art gallery, frame shop, more or less. Been photographing for quite a long time. And like I was saying, like anybody can photograph a beautiful woman. Anybody can do it. What's hard to do is to tell a story. To take an inanimate object and make it express and tell a story using the inanimate objects, using camera, using different lighting, using techniques with cameras, and yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little quick tour, and it was a quick tour. In future streams, I'm going to be showing some more of my drawings and my drawing techniques. I'll at some point probably be showing my photo techniques as far as portraits go. Light art, I might or might not do that on stream. Yeah, hope you guys have a good one. Again, you know, there's a difference between a artist like Bresson, like William Klein, like Diane Arbus, and just a photographer. And you don't want to be just a photographer. Nobody should aspire just to be a photographer. Those names I just listed off: Cartier-Bresson, William Klein, Diane Arbus. They didn't start out with photography, and they all preferred art. Photography itself, great for advertisement, great for stuff like OF or stuff like that, but it's not art. At least not according to my definition, and my definition is a lot, and it's stricter than most people's. Hope you have a good one. I'm going to end it the way I started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you guys have a good one.